All right, in this segment, I wanted to give one more example of how I reach out from behind the table or from within our booth to people who are passing by our booth without coming across as trying to be that used car salesman. All right, I mentioned basically looking at people's T-shirts and seeing how interesting they are and say, hey, what does your T-shirt say? I also mentioned about cosplayers wanting to get pictures with them. There's one more example, and I thought it was worth recording an entirely separate video on, and that is about people who are wearing tattoos. Now, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28 from the NIV says, "Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord." And I will let you know, just as a personal choice for myself and influenced by this scripture, I don't have any tattoos on my body. So people can look at me and, I don't have anything, hidden under my socks or anything like that, nothing under my sleeves. I just don't have any marks like that on my body. But the way I look at it is, once a person has put marks on their body, you can't really, cast judgment because, that ship's already sailed. It's difficult to have the things removed. If a person is not a Christian when they had it done, God's going to judge. It's not our job to judge. And if you're in the church and somebody, puts a mark on their body as a tattoo, if you talk to them before it's done, it's like, hey, you remember that scripture verse? But I still don't judge. It's just it's water under the bridge. There's not much you can do about it. So I just don't make that a big thing for me. But in the case of going to cons and you see people, and sometimes in this crowd of geeks, nerds, and other assorted fans, there's some people with some pretty elaborate tattoos. People where they're wearing shorts, but from the visible area of skin below the lower hem of their shorts all the way to the top of their socks or shoes, you can't see any skin. It's completely covered in tattoos. Or from the sleeve all the way down to their hands, completely covered in tattoos. I've seen it, and you see lots of things. I'm not offended by that. Once again, go back and watch the video about don't be judgmental. We're not supposed to do that. And basically, I've just come to where I look at them kind of like the T-shirts and the cosplayers. It's like, wow, they spent a lot of money on that. But something else I've done over the years is I've had friends that had tattoos, and some of them were older, some of them were younger, and I've learned a few differences. If you know some things about tattoos, you can tell, maybe how long they've had the tattoo or how much money they had to spend. The one style of tattoo, they draw the outline in black color and then they fill it in with other colors, pastel colors, for example. But that black outline is indicative of a certain style of tattooing. And then I think it's later tattoos don't have the outline. It's just basically the color, and there's the pastel color. There's no dark color that surrounds it. So little details like that. If you know those details, you can look at some of those tattoos and you can see, oh, you must have had that a very long time. So when people are walking by and they have these really colorful tattoos and really complete tattoos, it's eye-catching, and I am not offended, and basically I allow it to catch my eye. And one thing I've learned is that tattoos usually tell a story. Now, in the scripture verse, it talks about marking your body for the dead. And I have seen tattoos specifically where, a person lost their sibling. Usually it's an older brother loses a younger brother, or a younger brother loses an older brother, and they'll put a tattoo on their arm with their name and maybe the dates, the range of dates when they lived, in memory of. That's right out of Scripture. I've seen those types of tattoos. But whether it's that kind of tattoo or it's just some type of, even if it's a flower or if it's an eagle or something. Usually it's not just a pretty design. Most tattoos have a story behind them. And I like talking to people. I like hearing stories. So when I see those people with the tattoos walking by, I might comment, wow, how intricate that is. Or, wow, you must have had that a long time. And I see the design there. Or, I see these elements of your tattoo. It kind of, caught my eye. Certainly if there's a memorial, I might remark at that or something like that. But basically, I'll show an interest in that. And I think as a Christian, that kind of sets me apart from, the judgmental type of Christians who, basically just want to point that out and say, you're going to hell because you have a tattoo. That's not a very productive thing, so I don't do that. And while tattoos don't particularly interest me, some of these tattoos that people have on just are so eye-catching, I can't help but notice. So a lot of times, and they can see that we're a church booth, usually they see church in the name or spirit and truth, that, they kind of have an idea that there's some Christians there they're dealing with. Well, most people who have tattoos, I believe, have been on the receiving end of criticism from Christians about their tattoos. And so they're just waiting for somebody to be judgmental toward them. Well, I'm looking at their tattoo and I'm staring at them, and I've had them, come up to me. It's like, are you judging me because of my tattoo? It's like, no, man, that's beautiful. Or, wow, look at that work. And it just completely throws them off guard. And, that's actually a pretty good place to start a conversation like that if someone is pleasantly surprised that they're not being judged. But I just wanted to point tattoos out as a specific example of something that if it's handled right, that's another type of a thing to where we can kind of move beyond the rule that we have not to reach out to people, not to be that used car salesman. But as people are walking by the booth, this is another way that we can engage with someone who might not otherwise engage with us. Even if they're not showing us attention, if they've got a tattoo and it catches your eye, that you might do something similar to that. Now, you might think of ideas other than T-shirts and cosplay and tattoos, and that's great. If something interests you, go for it. But this was worth a special video just to talk about tattoos.